Hello. Yeah, I know we got an error.
I see that.
Yeah, I just saw that popped up. It showed Denise. She's looking at her phone.
Well, I was sending a message to Darren.
I know.
So I would say remove it.
I'm going to remove it.
Then re-add it.
And that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, how are you two doing?
Oh, good.
Hey, Dara.
Hey, Dara, I was just
Hey,
sending
Tom.
you a message,
And
okay?
Nigel.
So, hi, guys. What
They
I'm going to
beat
say.
Nigel? Oh, wow.
So, Dara, here,
Wow.
what I was sending you was put it on something natural like wood or dirt or something like that. Don't put it on anything that's manufactured. So if you wanted to be all natural, that's the best way to go. So,
Right.
And so for those of you wondering what the vague stuff is I'm talking about, she asked how to cleanse your crystals in the full moon tonight. So that's what we're talking about. Just Dara, make sure that if it's selenite, it doesn't get wet. It'll deteriorate quickly and it'll be dangerous. Okay, so
yeah,
I know it's weird. So
they probably have problems over there, so we won't be live on the Temple of Phoenix Entertainment
Phoenix Rising.
Yep. Hello, Mom.
So,
well, and Mike and Susan.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody. So, boy, a lot of people dropping in this morning tonight.
Must be bad weather somewhere.
Sun's starting to pop back out.
Is it raining?
Not here.
Okay. Well, then we'll take it. We're just glad everybody's here. If you guys have any questions for our guest, come on and ask those questions. Yeah, selenite.
Right, Tom.
It starts with S. SELENITE, I believe. So, but tonight our guest is a returning guest. We all love FJB. So we brought back Frank J. Bennett to remind us of all the things that we love in life.
Oh, that was a good one. Good introduction.
Love you too.
Well, we always have such spirited conversations when you're on here. So
yeah.
So you got lots and lots of hellos. So what's Frank been up to lately?
Yeah, that's that old country song, Hello Walls. And the echo is your only company. Or was that? Farron Young did that, right? Or
I believe so.
Husky. I forgot who that was. Ferlin Husky or Farron Young.
I have to go with Farron Young.
I miss some of that old country. I really do.
Billy T. Tucker.
Ron doesn't know country music singers.
So I miss AM radio. I sure am. And well, the reason why a lot of people on the East Coast probably aren't able to chime in is because the remnants of some storm is blowing through, and everybody's getting wet tonight.
Yes.
Everybody else in the country is going to Wang Chung.
Well, we had a storm just a little bit ago, and my sister's in the Virginia Beach, Chesapeake area, and they're only 7 feet above sea level. So it doesn't take much rain to cause a problem there. But at least they canceled their flood warnings, so that's good. So
always good, yeah.
Yeah, I know it's sad that I know whose weather's what.
Having lived in Florida twice, and I think the highest elevation is 30 feet. Yeah, we that was an everyday thing. Wondering when you're treading water and if you can get to work. People get used to driving through water.
I have we went through Lakewood, Florida on Saturday, the highest point in Florida. It's 345 feet.
Can you see your house?
No. But our house is only 72 feet above sea level. So,
for disclosure, you guys are in the wonderful city of Pensacola.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of bluffs there. You've seen them probably when you've come to visit your wife's family?
Yeah, dig it. It's been a while, but I'm pretty sure they're still there unless erosion has taken place. But Pensacola is gorgeous. I mean, I'd live there if I could, but quite honestly, I've done a couple live events there, and we didn't draw a lot of people. It's really not a, for our business, not very conducive for live events. In the
Because
paranormal side.
you think it could be because we have so many other things to do here.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, Tallahassee's just right over there.
Yeah. We're actually gonna, we met some people from Tallahassee over the weekend, and it was very enlightening, to say the least. I mean, it was Scott Tepperman. He used to be on Ghost Hunters International. He was at an event that we were at this weekend, and as you're talking about events, maybe we should talk a little bit about how these events come about and the difference between a successful one and a one that's not as successful as you would think it would be. Because I know that you were going to go speak at an event in Mobile. They approved for you to speak, but they didn't approve your table.
Yeah.
And like Ron said, he goes, why would he drive 20 hours to speak for an hour and turn around and go home?
So I could visit
don't
my
make
friends, Denise and Ron.
Well,
Yeah,
I thought that was good enough.
That was good enough. Dang. But that's that. How do I have appeared and spoken at more than 150 live events since I started doing this. And you get all kinds. There are some very good promotions, and I'm friends with the promoters. They deal you straight. Other promotions, they really just see you flying by in a whirl, and that's how you deal with them. Oh, you're still here? Oh, you probably need a table, don't you? Did we speak before? That kind of thing. And when you've got to travel across the country to do this, you can't work like that. You just can't.
No.
And there's a lot of calculations to go into it. What kind of audience am I speaking to? Like when I went to a couple months ago, went up to Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to do that show. Never been to Montreal in my life, but I spoke to standing room only. I mean, there were more than 200 people packed into a room.
Oh wow.
And I've don't get me wrong, I've spoken to large audiences before. It's just 5 minutes before the show started, there's 20, and I'm answering questions from them before my music starts. And then I swear to you, as I started speaking in the first 2 minutes, people just started filing in and lining in, and the room is just chock full of people. It's a little surreal. And they were very good to me. It was a good promotion. They everything they told me they were going to do, they did. Bam, loved it. I went to Nashville to speak at an event, and there were only 3 people sitting in the audience. But if I may, I think only 20 people came in the building that day.
Wow.
So I always like to point out that many years ago, I think 5-6 years ago, I applied to get a table at something called the Erie Super Paracon, which was in Erie, Pennsylvania. Good place for it. And I drove 5 hours from my home on the Eastern Shore in Ocean City to do this show, and got a nice table. I'm sitting there looking across the aisle at Chip Coffey, Dustin Perry from Ghost Hunters, and Mike Tenay, who's also a famous paranormal investigator. Not one person ever that whole weekend came through that door because they never advertised it. You go in that town and you saw no advertisements anywhere for the show.
Wow.
You didn't see advertisements online or nothing. So all weekend long, we were sitting there trying to figure out how to make conversation because not a one person came in. That's just the way it goes,
So
Nobody knows.
yeah, I know promotion is one, that's 25% of the event. The second 25% is people who are going to that event telling people on social media now. Used to never be social media. You never really use social media for that until Facebook and all that. Saying, hey, I'm going to be doing this, come by and see me, making it really public, what's going on. I think another part of that is cost to get in.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of people don't have as much money as they used to in their wallet.
Yeah, they did.
Exactly.
And prices have only gone up.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I told some people in the past, and I know everybody on here is going to say, hey, she has said that the more you pay to go into that event, the less
Less you
money I
spend.
have to spend while I'm there. I'm going to be thinking
less
that I
the
already
vendors
spent
make.
right. Plus we spent $40 to get in. It's going to have to be something damn good for me to spend my money on.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the vendors, they had to pay for their tables as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the poor vendor is sitting there going, I spent $125 on this table. I also got gas and a hotel most likely involved to come here. So they need to make at least $600 to make their money back.
Right. Exactly. And
So
it's tough for guys like me after you've paid 60 something bucks to get in to say, well, my book is 15 signed, $14.99 unsigned. But it's tough for me to ask for money after you've paid that much money to get in.
yeah, you feel bad. I mean, both sides feels bad.
Yeah.
The people going in are happy to be there and everything. And the people that are there as vendors are happy to be there until it comes down to the brass tacks of it is they've got to make enough money to get back home.
Right. Exactly.
And I
Now,
mean,
I don't know if you remember me telling you, but about 3 years ago or so, I went to Las Vegas to do the biggest paranormal event of the year, which was called Pura Unity. And everybody who was a name in the paranormal community was there. Right? Anybody who had a show on TV, with the exception of the Ghost Adventures guys, because they don't do live events. Ghost Hunters, Dustin was there, the guy, Tennessee Wraith Chasers, they were all there. And I was one of the few people who made money because my motto has always been, it's nice to be booked into a show and get a free table and the free room and all that cool stuff. But I've done better buying my table because I owe nobody nothing. Yeah. And I was one of the few people to make money that weekend because the promoter didn't pay any of the talent. They just took the money and ran. And they didn't draw as many people as they thought they were going to draw in there. So a lot of Lori Johnson, who was she lives in Virginia Beach. She's a friend of mine. She and her boyfriend / fiance drove all the way from Virginia Beach to Vegas to do that show.
Wow,
that's a suck ass drive.
Yes. Well, Vegas is one of the cheapest flight destinations, by the way.
Right.
And
it is. We go
no money, and they had to drive all the way back home again.
Oh man,
that must have been a long drive back home. But I did okay because I owed nobody nothing. A lot of these promotions, I found this out when I did some of the celebrity events. I thought these celebrities were living high off the hog and they had everything handed to them. I'm wrong. A lot of them are paying a dividend or a net cut to the house.
Right.
For example, if a celebrity hauls in probably $1,000 selling photographs and signed autographs and stuff like that, and they have to give upwards of 30-50% to the house that booked them.
Yeah, that's what Jason was telling us from Let Productions. They put on, him and Jay Lynch, they put on some events, and sometimes you have to have handlers with those people because they don't care.
Yeah.
About having their picture taken and all this other stuff, but the handler is there to keep an eye on them and say, you're going to have to pay, this picture would have made $50 for us. You just threw away our $50. Don't care if you threw away yours, but we care that you threw away ours. And, I had never thought of it that way, but it does make you more aware.
Yes. Some are under contract. You said.
Right. They're under contract. So you have to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. And I mean, people are going to say, hey, this guy's an asshole because he wouldn't let me take a picture. Well, it's because of the contract part of that. But I never even thought of that, But yet, we went to this event over the weekend and I took two pictures, one of the rainbow when we were leaving the building. and the other was of an event that's coming up on November 2nd. And I met all these people. I didn't take one picture of anything in there except for this little sign. So I guess maybe it was mentally in my head that I shouldn't be. I don't know.
That's another point of peculiarity, is that a lot of celebrities have a right to their image. Some of them have it copyrighted, by the way, trademarked.
Right.
You go to some events, you're not allowed to take pictures of celebrities, even if, and kids are clever. They think they could stand behind other people and snap your picture and all that cool stuff. I love it when people think I'm a celebrity because they keep sneaking around trying to get a picture of me without me noticing it. I love that because nobody knows who I am and what I do. I love that. I love it when other celebrities think I'm one also, and they don't know who I am and what I do. That's
you just pose, lewdly.
It is hilarious, man. But I've been to events where they've got security roaming the aisles trying to prevent people from taking pictures of celebrities without their permission. And, in some cases, rightly so, because if you've seen the trading card market, a lot of these people will buy some obligatory toy, like, for example, Star Trek Next Generation. They'll buy a Mr. Data figure, have Brett Spiner sign it. That thing's worth $300-400 in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And, that guy probably paid $30 for it.
So look at that. What is it? The Funko or whatever, the little bobblehead thingy, Funko.
Yeah.
Right.
Look at what they're costing now.
Oh yeah,
they're $35-$45, and if they're signed, they're more.
If they're signed, they can be up to $3,000.
Oh, I know.
There was a guy down at Paragold. He had maybe
Funko, what the hell was that?
3,000 of them, different ones, and had signatures. I said, "What's your lowest one?" He shows me one. Says this one sells for $40. And everything. I said, "Well, what's your most expensive?" He reaches up and grabs this one and goes, "It's $3,200."
Holy freaking fudge!
So
And
just so
I'm
you
like,
know,
it's got a signature on it. Okay.
Yeah.
so Ron, our son-in-law Devin, that's how he makes a living, is off of Pokemon. They had a garage sale before they moved to Florida. Sold a whole bunch of stuff, $5,000. These were all, none of these cards were expensive. Okay. None of these were expensive. He knew what he was selling. Well, he sold those off. I'm not going to tell you, but it was a 3-figure income that he's made this year off of just selling those. And I'm not talking low, I'm talking upwards. So that collectible market is huge. And so I can understand where asking somebody to sign something might be a problem later on.
That's why at more and more events I've been going to in the past 5 years alone, they have got authentication services with the table at the event, because fakes and forgeries are a huge industry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that costs money too.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the stuff graded. I mean, there are so many different things. Like Devin sends off a bunch of his cards to get graded by somebody who does it professionally.
I'm doing a TV show. Okay.
And so he has to pay for each card that he sends. And it could be, he said, anywhere from $1 per card to $20 per card, depending upon the value.
It cost about $2,000 to get them graded. His last batch.
Graded. Wow.
Yeah. And Ron's brother also, he started collecting. He started collecting sports cards years ago. I don't know what he's done with them, but we know he's got them in a room. We see them when we go visit. But like I said, that's how Devin makes his living.
Yeah. I've never been somebody to want to go around collect these kinds of things. The majority of what I have in collection are from people I've actually worked with or celebrities I've done shows with. And, I'll tell them, like Dan, who was in a ton of John Wayne movies. I did a show with him in Roanoke, Virginia a couple years back. He's since passed away. I said, you know, at the end of the show today, I'm going to come get one of your posters, like $20, right? He says, and he just looks at me. He's a huge bear of a guy, and he's scary to look at, but he's a beautiful guy. And he just signs it and hands it to me. He says, there you go. And most of the things in my collection are from just super generous people who just look at you, sign it, and there you go. And that's what ends up on my wall.
So what do you think makes a show fail? Besides, you know, we've already talked about a couple things that could make it fail. People don't show up. It's not promoted. Let's go back to something else. Carl was involved in an event not that long ago where supposedly they had volunteers. They didn't. And I know volunteers can make or break an event.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even, I mean, I'm not talking just volunteers, but some of these people are paid sometimes to be there, to help out with the arrangements, the setup, you know, all this stuff. I know that lack of that can cause a problem. So, Carl, from your perspective, what do you feel like an event could fail because of lack of volunteers, lack of people being able to be available to answer questions and do stuff?
Right. When people sign up to be a volunteer, at that event, there was 13 people signed up for volunteers to help with celebrities and to get ready, you know, to set everything up and tear everything down. Right. Well, when we got there the night before and everything, and talked to my friend, he said, well, you can go over and set up. I went over. They hadn't even tore the place down yet. And I'm like, where's the volunteers? Nobody has showed up. And I went,
You did?
What are we going to have to get this ready by tomorrow morning? Tearing everything down and marking it off and everything. I said, what do you need done? Of course, I stepped up, helped them that night, helped them all through the week. We ended up with 4 volunteers that showed up out of 13 for the whole weekend.
Well, we know part of that is that they didn't reach, you know, people had asked to volunteer and they didn't get back to them until a week before. By then, we've already had new plans.
Yeah,
So,
they didn't call us till a week before.
I need at least a month.
I mean, we told them we were volunteer and we didn't hear anything. So we thought, well, we'd already changed our plans. And when they called us, like, well,
we're going to South Carolina.
Yeah.
And
is what ended up
like
happening.
Ron said earlier, people have a certain amount of money they can spend on where they're going to go right now. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think what hurt that one last year was the 3 weekends before, there was 3 gigantic concerts with well-known, I would say probably 80% of the entire area went to those 3 concerts.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have the money.
Right.
I mean, the year before, there was standing room lying out there, and they did very little advertising for the last year, the very first one. I mean, I made them put a banner out by the road so people would know where we were at.
Yeah.
But getting into it, man, there was people left and right. I made good money and everything as a vendor to pay for the gas, the motel, the table. Did everything good that year.
Mm-hmm.
This last year, we're lucky if we had 300 people come in.
So you ended up.
Yeah,
in
you're expecting a bigger.
A 2-day event.
You're expecting more crowds this year too, weren't you?
We were expecting anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000 people, like we did the year before.
Do you feel? Well, this is a dumb question. I mean, this is really a dumb one because the answer is yes. The economy is playing a huge role in the failure of some of these events.
It
Well,
is.
let's not forget COVID.
Oh, well, COVID. You know what? When are we going to stop blaming COVID for everything?
Well,
Right.
I'm not. Forgive me for interrupting, but there there were a lot of events I was looking forward to getting back to doing, but they didn't recover from COVID.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
They didn't.
And a lot of them were paranormal events.
Well,
And
this
I
one
get
we just went to Ozark, Alabama. They said there was a line outside. They were having trouble getting everybody in. When we got there, there's more vendors than people.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of
Eureka
farms.
Springs.
No, we went. Oh yeah, I remember Eureka Springs when you went there.
See, that one's not been doing as good either.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Because the one when we met you down there that one time, that was pretty crowded.
How did you do on that one?
Oh, I didn't do well at that show at all.
Oh, so the best part was seeing us.
Oh, you know it. And barbecue.
Oh,
yeah.
And
that's I'm
Pat.
not even close to kidding on that one. Because my friend Jean was sitting next to me. She's the lady from Kansas City that has that unique
story
encounter with aliens. But outside of her, the whole show was really a bust because it didn't really bring a lot of people in at all.
Yeah, that was the Ozark UFO conference.
Right.
What's funny is we went to Ozark, Alabama on Saturday. And, they started this 3 years ago. This was the third one.
Perfect place.
Good place.
They had their civic center, plenty of room.
All kinds of stuff nearby.
Setup was nice.
And cost to get in, got a veterans discount for Ron, and
it was less than $20.
Yeah, it was less than $20 for us to get in, so I didn't feel bad spending any money.
Yeah, Eureka Springs was not an easy place to get to.
Oh no,
that was the other part of the equation.
Well, that's how Ozark is.
Yeah,
Ozark
not from any direction.
So just to give you,
Ozark wasn't either.
Ozark was like, how many left turns can you make and not end up at your house? That's what I kept telling him to turn, and he started getting pissed at me.
This highway here, 7 miles, and you're going to turn left. Okay. Then we're going to take this one 6 miles, and we're going to turn left. I'm like,
how'd I end up in Oklahoma?
We're going to go 8 miles on this, and we're going to turn left. I'm like, no way. That's not, it can't be right. I'm like, this place, I know where it's north.
He was shocked as shit when we got there.
It's northeast, and I said, we're heading
every direction but that.
Southwest.
So, one of these roads, it said, turn on this road. So we turn on the road. Don't think nothing. We're driving along, and all of a sudden, it's a red clay Alabama road.
Yep. It goes from paved road to mud.
And so I'm looking, I'm looking at my phone, and I'm going, the GPS says we're still on the right road.
It'll keep saying that until you end up in the river.
Well, the thing is it kept saying, it said, welcome to Alabama.
Well,
so all I could do was laugh.
Were there banjos playing in the background while that was going on?
I was waiting.
No, but I will tell you, we did have a deliverance on Sunday morning, and I'm not going to talk about that yet.
But that's kind of like when me and Gary, the first time we went to Ashmore.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I put the address in. Yeah. We're driving. We get in Illinois, right? You got to turn here and go down this way and everything. The next thing you know, it's got us driving through the middle of cornfields. These little bitty narrow lane blacktops, and I'm going, where the hell are we? I mean, children of the corn going to jump out of here or what? We kept driving around. I said, get back out. We got to find the interstate, the major highway out here. I know where we're going.
Right.
And stuff. Yeah. I've been there before. And we got down there. I said, when we go back, we ain't going back that way.
Oh, nope. That's what we said going back from Ozark. We're not going back that way. So yeah, the big town there is Dothan, Alabama.
Yeah.
On one side, and the other side is Enterprise, Alabama. And
that's what Gary just said. We did the left turns going to Ashmore.
Yep. And so it just makes you laugh when you think about it. But yeah, he was getting pissed at me because, I'd say 2 miles up here, you're going to make a left. And he's like, why am I making so many turns? That's not what it looked like on the map. When he looked at the map, it looked like it was straight. But
not real straight.
Straight, I mean, going in the direction we wanted to go. Okay. it wasn't, but this, when I looked at exactly how he had it mapped, and I mapped mine that way, so he couldn't yell at me. I got yelled at every time I turned around. It's just, all I could do is laugh. So, and I didn't have internet, so I couldn't turn it off and get it back up, because once we got off of Interstate 10, there really wasn't much service. There was nowhere to eat. There was nowhere to go to the bathroom. It was.
This is also when you learn the difference between a mile and a country mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told him, I said, I don't know if these miles are by as the crow flies or by the road, because he goes, I've already gone 6 miles. I'm going, well, it says you got 6 miles to go. I felt so bad.
Well, at least we didn't have a dum-dum.
Yes.
But
so
another thing that hurts these Paracons, like I said, you're paying celebrities to come in. You're paying their way, their hotel and everything. And they're not telling anybody where they're going. They're not sharing it out on their social medias and everything. Their followers and stuff.
Right. Exactly.
And that's sad. But, in a way, I understand. I didn't tell a whole bunch of people that when we were going.
Right.
Because I don't want my house to be, I don't want people to go, oh, she lives in Milton, Florida. Let's find out. Because I hate to say this, but because I'm a registered voter, you can find that information out there where I live. And so I did not tell anybody where we were going.
We should. Want to steal our 3 cats.
Yes, please. Maybe steal my work computer. Oh, they can't do that. I take it with me everywhere. But yeah, I mean, I don't want people to know I'm out of town and leave my house open for the Venezuelan gangs to come and take it over while I'm not looking, or the Haitians might come and get my cats. I'm sorry.
That's true. Hey.
And Tom, we do use the GPS, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it is.
We need to go back. People don't know how to read maps. They need to go back and learn how to read a road atlas. I'm just saying.
Never got lost on one of those.
No, I
We
still
haven't gotten
got
lost
mine.
yet.
Nick does.
Well, I understand. So another thing that could cause a failure at one of these events is possibly the venue itself. Like the venue that we met at, Frank.
Yeah, that was it could have been better.
Yeah. I mean, it was
small.
It was very small, and you had people roaming around, and you're talking up on the stage, and people people actually had to leave to talk to people.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking of while you were saying that, is because I've got a video of my friend Gene, who I was sitting next to at the Eureka show, who lives in Kansas City, trying to speak on the stage, that little stage they gave us. Mm-hmm. And the camera is 10 feet away, and all you can hear is all the people behind the camera talking, and the people in the kitchen, because there's a service kitchen back there. It's just drowning you out.
And my voice carries, so it's probably on there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a table. That was the only time we ever had a table. And except Carl's event, we had a table. But normally we don't have it. Yeah, this was at Sugar Creek. And that Kansas City Paracon was so much smaller then, but it was still a full house, and they had good attendance. It's just
a lot of times those smaller venues aren't really too bad, because you can get a little intimacy with the people who come to see you. I mean, it's not across the board, but you're there to have conversations, not really just to sell books.
Yeah,
like
right.
Me. And in a huge Comic-Con, that's tough. It really is. And in a Comic-Con, people are trying to pick you out from a big crowd. Mm-hmm. I like the intimacy of the smaller spaces. I'm getting ready next weekend to go over here to Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Johnstown, Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
for a cryptozoological event. It's a 2-day event, and it's going to be held in a Masonic hall, which on the surface sounds really cheap, but you can hear everybody talking there. You know,
Oh yeah,
you can
it
hear
carries.
the conversations in there. There's as a matter of fact, Scarefest is coming up, but I did another show that was kind of a knockoff of Scarefest down in Knoxville, Tennessee, and it's one of these events that blares music overhead the whole length of the show.
Oh, that's horrible.
It
Because
is.
all anybody does is yell.
Yeah, everybody's yelling.
That's what they did in Northern
Right.
Springs.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. In addition to raising your blood pressure, I mean, you're just glad when you get back to your room at night because it's the only peace and quiet you've had all day. Maybe the men's room, but it's the only peace and quiet you've had all day.
I know some of them are that way. Like you said, when big events good for vendors, for the people talking and everything, like you said, you want a one-on-one type situation. Somebody comes up to you and asks you a question, they're trying to find out something. You don't really want to crowd 50 to 60 people along behind you and everything because they get mad. You get one person up there talking to you and you got 3 or 4 standing around. They listen to what that person's saying. They may have a question after they're done. You get all them other people, no. But
Right.
from the vendor's point of view, when you're making stuff to sell and everything, the big crowds are nice and everything. You go by a percentage, got 3,000, maybe if you're lucky, 200 to 300 people might buy something. But other than that, no.
I'll tell you, for me, as a goer, okay, I've been, hey, I'm going to this event. Hey, I'm having a table at this event, and I'm volunteering for this event. I've done all 3 of these things. I'm glad I didn't volunteer for the event this weekend. I'm glad I backed out of that one because they had more than enough
They didn't need
volunteers.
us anyway.
And, no, they didn't need us. And, I canceled in enough time to where if they did need somebody, they had time to still find someone. I didn't cancel the day before. I canceled 2 weeks before. And that was for health reasons that I canceled. But when we got there, we were surprised at how many volunteers they had that were just sitting around doing nothing.
Mhm.
There was that.
They're on their phones.
So
That's doing something.
but I like the volunteering part. I think that it's great and it's fun, and I get to meet the people and spend time with everybody and still get to enjoy the show. So I like that, but it would have been bad for this past event because of the fact that we would have spent more to volunteer than it was to get into the event.
Well, they could have had us taking tickets or who knows.
Yeah,
They'd be stuck upstairs.
That's what they had
You
wanted.
wouldn't seen anybody, but
Yeah. Right. Except for people coming in. And that's what they had wanted me to do, is be a ticket taker. I had no clue that they were going to have a ticket taker basically outside of the event, So I thought maybe it would be, closer to the event where I could at least see and hear the speakers. Well, that was one problem, that I'm glad I didn't have to deal with. Okay. So being at a table.
They were taking money, but they weren't handing out tickets. They were just putting the little wristband on.
I hate those wristbands.
Yeah, well, the thing is, they got up there and they said, all right, we're going to do a drawing, check your numbers. Everybody's looking around, going, drawing for what? They said, check your ticket. And everybody's like, we never got a ticket.
Yeah. So they had door prizes, but nobody won them.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different problem.
Then that's when they found out, and that was what, 3 o'clock or so,
Yeah.
4 o'clock.
3
That's
o'clock
when they
on Saturday.
figured out that nobody was getting tickets. It was like, oh crap.
And it's over at 6. So, I also think that sometimes a really good 1-day event is better than a 2-day or 3-day event. shoot your wad on Saturday and get
That
it over
could
with.
be.
Yeah.
I don't like to do one dayers.
I know you don't, but sometimes a Friday evening
Yeah,
VIP
sometimes
kind of thing. is
sometimes
good.
people can't make it that one day.
Yeah.
They can make it the next one.
That's
but
true.
Yeah,
But down here in the Bible
but the
Belt,
3 days there's no point in that.
yeah, down here in the Bible Belt, you're not getting anybody to come to your event until after 11 o'clock.
Right.
So you might
On
as well
Sunday.
plan it that way on Sunday, 11 to 5. Get everybody out of there at a decent time with enough sunlight to get onto the interstate, But, there's that. But, okay, then sitting at the table. Yes, I met you, and it was great. But unless the other vendors walk around and meet everybody at the tables, you don't get to meet anybody except for the guests that are coming in. See, there's another bad thing. So for me, I like going to the event because I want to walk around and get to meet everybody. Like when here's another thing I think is horrible sometimes is having all the vendors in different buildings.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
now the Pensacola Super Paracomic-Con, I hope I said that right. I did that some years back.
Yeah.
They made the mistake of having the vendors in different buildings. It was a huge complex out there,
Yeah.
at the old fairgrounds.
At fairgrounds, yeah.
Yeah. I've still got a video of it. They didn't sell a lot of tables. So they spread the vendors' tables all over the main hall. And my nearest neighbor was 70 feet that way. 70.
Yeah.
And
Was it at the fairgrounds that year?
yeah.
Same
Yeah.
place? Oh wow.
And there was actually 3 buildings, and they put some of the other, the Ghost Brothers,
I asked.
the Steiner Brothers were there, by the way, the wrestling team. They put them in another building with some other vendors, and everybody's kind of wandering around trying to figure out where everybody's at because
Wow.
it really was not organized at all. Don't get me wrong, I sold books and met people, but that's probably because they were tired of walking from one vendor to the next.
Hey, Joe.
High table to rest.
Yeah. Hey, Joe. Hi, Virgil. When we went to the Pensacola Paracon last September, she had it all in one building. She had some people who didn't show up. We'll just say that there was quite a few empty spaces. She also had some stuff outside. They had an astronomer and food trucks and some other stuff out there.
That was a good one.
It was a good one.
That one was
I don't know if it would.
much better.
She hadn't done it since COVID, and so she did it this time. And I liked it. It was fun. My granddaughter got to hold a spider, and got to see a baby alligator. They had a little bitty petting zoo kind of thing.
Oh yeah. I think they were the one I did. Yeah.
And then they also had the cosplayers and the people that all dressed up and all that. But like you said, it was a Paracomic-Con, and I liked it as far as that went. But I'm glad I paid to be there as opposed to being we paid to be there, but we ended up sitting at Kat's table and being a vendor with her. So she came by herself, and so she couldn't get up and go do anything unless somebody stayed at her table.
Yeah.
So we kind of volunteered to be a vendor.
Yeah, while she was up there speaking, I got a couple people their own radio shows on her network.
That's kind of
It
what
was
I
easy.
hoping for this event that I checked out on this past weekend. I was just kind of hoping you guys would be able to just come work my table with me, maybe do a live broadcast from my table if you could. But, some things just don't work out.
Yeah.
By the way, what's worse than it's one of the things that just blows my mind as I think about it. And my mind is small, so that doesn't take much. But these vendors who pay all these hundreds of dollars for a table and never show up.
Yeah.
Who's got the money to do that?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, celebrities, yeah, I get it. They're in demand, but you pay upwards of $600 for a table and you don't show up, huh?
Yeah,
I've
I
seen a
mean,
lot of that.
but I have a good reason.
I'm always amazed. So at the event that we went to on Saturday, they only had a few people that couldn't show up, and that was because a hurricane hit in Louisiana, and that's where they lived. And they,
excuse.
yeah, the person that was supposed, one of the big ones that was
Jeremy,
supposed to come,
I
yeah,
figured he wouldn't be there.
Jeremy Leonard was part of the big talent that was supposed to be there, and he couldn't make it because he's a firefighter and he was on call because of the hurricane. And it's like, makes total sense to me. I didn't expect him to be there anyway.
Paranormal had a real job. Ooh,
Oh yeah,
that's unusual.
that is. It is unusual to be involved in the paranormal and have a real job.
Yeah, now I got to shift on to the next, the related topic is the fact that the other factor affecting all of this is that the paranormal industry is dying, putting it bluntly. I think it peaked a few years back, and that was about it.
Yep.
And COVID may have done the rest of it in.
Quite, yes. And even the people who were big, you would call big celebrities in our field, just ain't packing them in anymore. But it's still I have found to be a closed old boy network. They don't like outsiders like me. They never will, but that's okay. People like me for their own reasons, and I don't need to be on TV for you to like me. Those people are liked because they're on TV. Enough said. But
Well, yeah.
But people are drawn to me because of what I produce. They're drawn to them because they saw them on TV. I get that because I used to be on TV too. I used to be in films too. I get all that. But, there's more you got to have. And I've got my own base that doesn't worry about these things.
Yeah.
And
You got to have a magnetic personality.
I've got my fifth book out, which I'm just thrilled to death because I've been laboring on it since I published the last book, and I've got one more in the queue that should come out before the end of the year.
You're finally going to finish those ones that had been partially done, huh?
No, believe it or not, those are still partially done. Yeah, the creative process will go as it does, but the example is my latest book, The First Man. It was a thought that I had last November about the life of Adam from the Bible, and why there's so little information about the man in the Bible.
That's true.
And I started working on it, and I realized the way Scripture works is that Scripture pays attention to what's relevant to the point at the time. It's not going to sit there and continue to look back and laud things and people. So, once Adam had done what he had done in the garden and set the course for mankind, he largely just became irrelevant. And so I thought, what would a life of that man be once he's done all of this, and there's nothing left for him but to live out his life? So that's how I started crafting the story. And so it's my interpretation of what his life would have been after the fall in the garden. But the reason why I wrote it the way I did is because another thought occurred to me, because I think in linear terms, in terms of people's lives and the connections they have. For example, all of us were born in a time frame where the majority of people who fought in both World War I and World War II were still alive to tell you the stories of what they went through. So we all have these first-person accounts in our minds of these historical events by the people who did so. And Adam, being the first man ever created, had seen everything before the fall and what took place in the garden, and everything after the fall, and all those born after him. But there's a problem. Since his wife Eve passed away, he's the only living person who has witnessed to these things. Everybody else was born after that. And so he goes through the remainder of his life being revered, worshipped, but also doubted, because there's that little thought in the back of your mind, well, this could be just some crazy old man who's conjuring up all these stories. True, he's the oldest person around. Yeah, we all admit that. I mean, everybody knows who Adam is, but he's the only one who could substantiate his stories because everybody else is dead.
Yeah.
So that's how I crafted the life of his, the story of his life after that.
Tom says that they're drawn to Frank because he's personable.
Oh, you guys, knock it off.
I thought it was your Baltimoreness. I have to tell you, this is really kind of funny. Over the weekend, like I said, there was a deliverance kind of thing. All the people that went to this thing, except for Ron, were all from Baltimore. The people isn't that unusual?
Oh, yeah.
In Alabama. Okay.
All the people?
Jeff Lepper, Maria, and me are all from Baltimore.
Oh, at the deliverance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it was one of those strange things that you always hear these negative things about people from the East Coast that were not friendly, that were closed-minded and all this other crap. And the only reason I was even there was because the lady looked at me and said, I feel like I've known you forever. I want you to be there. So, and now I have a new 5-year-old best friend to go with it. So it's great.
Oh, man.
Oh, the little one that wouldn't talk.
Yeah.
And all her kids.
And all of her
And
kids.
her dog.
Yeah. Ron got the dog to like him, and the kids all liked me. And here we are now. But, it was an unusual situation. I mean, that's the thing about, we were talking about small paracons where you get to meet everybody and everything. You get to know something about them and even talk to them about stuff you wouldn't normally talk to them about. Like, because if they're shuffling you through, you only have time to say a few things. And in my case, I walked up to Jeff Lepper and asked him why in the hell did he do the Sigil of Solomon at the last episode of Ghost of Shepherdstown. And the reason he gave me
He laughed.
was excellent. Because he said they had wanted to knock Laurie out of that altogether. And he wouldn't allow that. He said, I don't.
Basically, the producer director said
They forced it.
because you have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he said, I didn't want to do it.
But he was pissed at the fact that they were trying to push Laurie out at that point.
Yeah. Laurie feels she was pushed out, but
She was. That's
To
what he
Laurie's
said.
credit, Laurie was never somebody that ran around complaining about it.
No.
Right.
And see, the thing is he felt bad that they were pushing her
Right.
out.
And he said
spoke up.
they got to have her in here somehow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he spoke up to make sure that she was involved
Right.
in the last episode of that, because otherwise they were going to probably write her out.
Yep.
I mean, it's bad enough that we all know that they gave up on Bill. You never saw him again after that episode.
Which is
He
a
was
shame
like-
because he knew his stuff.
He
Yeah,
did.
he did.
And of course, now, keep him in your prayers. He's in the hospital and, he's out of the hospital, but he had surgery and he's got some stuff going on. And I don't know how much to share, but, keep Bill in your prayers. And, but again, there's a whole bunch of Baltimore people all together doing a show. I mean, Ghost of Shepherdstown, that's mostly the people involved were people we probably knew when we were growing up.
Baltimore.
Laurie, she swears up and down that she knows me. I don't know.
Have you met Laurie?
No, she called me on the phone one night.
Okay.
I asked her to be on my show and she calls me on my phone
Oh,
and proceeds to tell me where I'm sitting at in my house, what I'm wearing.
Is that when you were sitting on the steps?
I was sitting on the step
Yeah.
in a towel with my hair up. I had just taken a
Of all
bath.
places.
And she said, this is where I was sitting. This is what I was doing.
So you're telling me that while there are people out there who are getting heavy breathing calls going, what are you wearing? Lori Johnson calls you to tell you what you are wearing?
Mhm.
Okay, that's a twist.
And where she was sitting, like I said, she was sitting on the steps.
Okay.
That's
That's
not
random.
a normal place.
Yeah.
Did Lori have more than that?
Oh yeah, we had. I mean, right after that, I had her on my show, and she said a bunch of things that were related to my dad's murder,
Yeah.
and she didn't know anything about it, so that was
Let me tell
interesting.
you, I super dig Lori. Good people. And I've never seen. I came up behind her one day when we were checking into her hotel, not together, but we were at an event, and she was checking in, and I'm standing in line waiting to check in. And then she's texting somebody. I never saw a tiny set of thumbs move that fast. I mean, it was ungodly how fast those thumbs were moving on that keyboard. Really, it's like Olympic speed. But at an event in Martinsburg, West Virginia, Lori looked right at my wife and said, "Your dad is with you right now. You should be comfortable with that." And my wife said, "Okay, thank you very much." My wife's dad was still alive. Oops.
But the thing is maybe he was with her. He was astro projecting.
She would not have wanted that, but
Was he right behind her?
something was projected.
Little detail left out there, but yeah.
That's the thing. If the spirits don't talk to you, you don't know who in the heck they are.
Was there in spirit.
So, I don't know, but like I said, I like Lori. I think she's fun. And
I adore Lori. Yeah,
and I do put very little. I don't have a lot of confidence in mediums, and I have less confidence in psychics because almost anything can be found about somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you get into any obituaries, you can find out who's related to who in a heartbeat.
Right.
Especially if they put their name in there. So in my case, you may not find Denise Pridemore, but you might find my other name out there in my mom's obituary.
Mm-hmm.
But you're probably not going to find Denise. So keep that where it is, It's my very little bit of privacy that I do have is not going by my real name.
If you look at my Facebook, I have a lot of friends who are psychics and mediums. I mean, people get along no matter what your discipline is. People tend to get along. And
if they want to.
Yeah. And we all have something in common. We're talking about what's on the other side, allegedly. Mediums, I was unkind to in my book because all I did was look at their methodology and the results of what they've done. And I extrapolated conclusions from that. I didn't actually know any mediums. Now that I've gotten to know them, I've come to realize that they are born into this world with something most people do not have. And it comes in degrees.
Right.
I'd like to tell the story of the little girl who came to my table at the Steel City Con in Pittsburgh that one year. And she was a sweetheart of a 14-year-old girl, short hair, glasses. And she was just bounding up the aisleway with her friends and just an ordinary teenage girl. And then she stopped at my table, looked at my books, and I swear to you, within 60 seconds of talking to her, I found myself in front of my table holding this girl with her sobbing on my shoulder because she was so psychic. She was so clairvoyant that she has been, and this is what her mom told my wife, is that she had been harassed by the living and the dead most all of her life, and she can't turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, there's, to be that young and not be able to control this is really harsh. So, the only thing a person like me can do in that situation, because I don't know better, is just turn her over to somebody who works in this business and see if they can guide her along and help her get some control over it.
Yeah. And that's the hard part. Who do you send them to? And
Lori Johnson. I've sent people to Lori Johnson. She's been doing this for a long time.
Well, I meant that rhetorically because, there's, because that's kind of like how our weekend went. We had the lady that checked us into the hotel. We walked away, we went to our room, we did whatever it is we were going to do, and we decided we were going to go sit out at the pool because, well, it was a nice night. Well, everything was wet, so we came back in and we overheard her part of her story. And as we were listening to her, you could see
Well, we also
the pain in her eyes.
I don't know how long the two people that were there had been listening to her, but we also got the look from them as like, come over here and help us with this so we can go. And that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah. So we listened to her for over 2 hours, talk about all the stuff that had happened in her life. So she is very empathetic. Okay. She feels everything. She's gotten to the point to where she doesn't trust people. But because she was too trusting, you know that people get too trusting. They believe every word that comes out of somebody's mouth. And she felt like she was just, her life was all screwed up.
Right.
And what we determined is that there was an attachment to somebody. We also determined that there's a family curse that's in play here. And, I can diagnose it, but I can't treat it. I can diagnose a lot of things. I'm pretty good at that. But I didn't have the way to treat it the way it needed to be treated. Okay. She needed, one of the things that I've said before is she needed something to prove that it was going to, a ritual of some sort to be done for her to believe that she was clear to this. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's a lot of mediums I've come across, good people, but they're in a position to need to prove themselves. They need for you to take them seriously, believe that they can do what they say they can do, and so some of them will work a little extra hard to prove themselves.
Well, the thing is, this lady needed help. It wasn't that she was a medium. She wasn't trying to prove herself. She was just trying to get help. And it just happens there happened to be a paranormal conference staying in her hotel, and she had no clue.
She just started working there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, she just started there 2 weeks ago, had no clue. And so as she's talking to us, I looked over at Ron and I said, I think Jeff Lepper is the person here who is at this event that can help her.
Yeah, we said we're not sure if he's even staying at the hotel, but we could get a hold of him tomorrow, and 10 minutes later he comes walking in. It's like, oh, there he is. And then him and Maria listened for at least another hour or so, and then that's when he decided
somebody in that field is enjoying a resurgence in her career, Teresa Caputo.
Yeah.
And I brought her name up because that's what my wife is currently watching now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And,
Click.
I'm editing comments, but, there are some who should know better, but they can't because it would hurt their career. John Edwards is a good example of all this. There was a time when he knew he should have stopped and he didn't.
Yeah, and now he's doing shows again.
Now he's back doing
right. He's back. Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing shows in Kansas City right before we left. He went to England and did some stuff over there for a while, and now he's back and he's doing shows everywhere. And I believe that Teresa Caputo is a liar. And the reason I'm going to say that is because you cannot pay cash to go to one of her shows. You have to pay with a credit card, and you have to tell them the names of each person that you're bringing with you. So if you're buying tickets for 5, you have to give them all 5 people's names.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you need to do that?
So you can get information.
Do I need to give everybody my names if I go to a football game?
Yeah, that's not required for a purchase. Well, let me take that back. Some venues will require the names for the seating.
Yeah.
Because they place the seats, and they want to make sure you're sitting with your group. I just thought about that.
Yeah, but just think about this though. If they have that information, internet has everything. You can find out. who recently passed away in their life, if they have a
If they have a
butterfly tattoo,
Facebook.
if they have a butterfly tattoo, and if you ever notice that the people that don't get readings during these big events don't have social media of any kind.
That's when you need to make a good one up with a good story.
It's just I'm just saying this because my sister Donna and down in Virginia Beach and her daughter have gone to see Teresa Caputo 3 times, and they don't share stuff on Facebook. They don't share stuff at all. And Pete died of an overdose. Okay, my sister's husband died of an overdose, and there's all these other things that all happened all in the same time frame, to where Pete jumps up all the time and makes himself known. How come these other people don't see it? You know, why, Donna lost a baby to SIDS. All these things. She is surrounded by spirits all the time. Why aren't they picking up on any of them? I mean, I can see why they don't on me, because I close myself off. I don't want anybody to I don't want anybody to intrude on my personal space, period. I don't want somebody to read me.
However, if I may make the devil's argument, the spirits who never sleep do intrude on your personal space.
Yeah, they do.
Whether you like it or not. They do speak to these mediums, but the mediums seem to live in this world where they don't believe spirits can lie to them.
Oh, they do.
As I say in the book, how do you check a ghost ID? And just because Teresa Caputo, and I'm just an example because I have no evidence, is listening to a voice which is claiming to be that person's dad, she takes it as gospel. And her dad may have committed suicide. And so now she's there telling people, and as a Christian, this is where I get lit up. She's telling people that, he committed suicide, but he's in heaven right now, which basically would communicate to any lay person, if I can't stand life anymore, I could just go ahead and commit suicide and I'll be with my dad. Don't work like that.
Yeah. I had one person tell me that after my grandfather was done doing his penance in purgatory, that he finally got to go be with his family in heaven. And I was like, it's murderer.
Ask me why I'm no longer a Catholic.
I was like, I just shook my head and I'm like.
But it took, 25, 30 years?
Yeah, that it took about 30 Earth years for him to do his time.
Right.
And I'm like, whatever.
You see, all we can do is make suppositions about the dead because we can never have evidence. It's not possible to have evidence.
Nope. Not
prove it or disprove it.
It's kind of like what we talked about last night on the show. We won't know until we're dead. Mm-hmm. And by then we can't share because we're not going to be able to tell.
Well, it's like these mediums that can supposedly tell you what you were in your previous lives.
Past life.
There's no way you can't prove it or you can't disprove it. So
no, you can't.
It's a waste of time to me.
I couldn't help but notice the majority of the people who have those reports never have the ditch digger jobs. They never have the fodder jobs. They're usually somebody of importance.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's the same as, the other one that gets me is my guardian angel is this high up angel, so apparently Archangel Michael is everybody's guiding light.
He's busy.
That's what they all say.
They do. They always say that. It's not
extremely busy.
Joe the coffee guy is my guardian angel,
Or my spirit guide. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and my spirit guide is, Xena the warrior princess,
Are they all up there waiting in a line going, oh, I get this one, I get that one?
Yeah. Is it a popularity contest?
Yeah.
I just know.
Oh, absolutely. It's a popularity contest. You got to be a draw.
if I've got a guardian angel, they're doing this going.
Yeah. I'm his spirit guide. Oh man. I knew I'd be the last one picked.
Oh, I know. I was never popular in gym class for any of the sports, so I'm not going to be popular in this case either. Ron will be the first one picked.
Yeah, ask me
That
why I know
always
you
makes you
can't.
wonder. Okay, I got a spirit guide. You do, really? Mm-hmm. Okay. How many spirit guides are out there according to how many's got them? Thousands and millions and all this and that. Okay, did God create them?
See, in my case, I would
Yeah.
believe that I would have a spirit guide that would have been a family member in my past.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I said. We've talked to psychics and mediums, and they'll all have a different opinion of this. They'll say, "Oh, it's an old family relative that's your spirit guide," and then others say, "Oh no, it's not any family members. It's somebody just totally different,
Totally random.
totally random." I mean, they're hell bent on one or the other. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And by the way, they rarely agree on anything.
I know.
No, they don't.
And I know, I mean, my heart tells me if I'm feeling somebody loving on me or protecting me, I feel like it's somebody who has a direct impact on my life. Some of these angels and stuff, they have zero.
No interest.
Yeah, they have no interest in me, or they would have kept me from doing all the shit I did younger. But
Yeah, you just you just put me in mind of a time. I don't remember which show it was, but I was sitting there at my table. I had just gotten through talking to this one lady who was a psychic medium, and this other lady came up and introduced herself as a psychic medium. And you know how I always joke about women? They say the nicest things to each other's faces, but as soon as they open your backs, they've got the onion whiff going on. You know.
Yep.
I mean, it was like you could hear the theme from The Good, Bad, and the Ugly in the background when they would face off to each other, because they're highly competitive.
Oh yeah.
Mediums and psychics are very competitive with each
Yep.
other.
I have to say the same thing about sometimes.
Tour guides in Gettysburg.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, there's some jobs that I've had in the past where I've worked with men, and I worked with mostly men, mostly women, and I would rather work with mostly men because, yeah, they may say some really dark and really strange jokes, but at least you know where you stand with them. With women, you don't. You know, if you're a really smart woman, you end up being a bitch. If you're always friendly, then you're hiding something, things like that. It just gets so petty. And it's the same thing a lot of times in the paranormal drama that goes on. And I tell people all the time, I said, I don't give a crap about the drama. I care about the people that I meet. And if I like you, I like you. And if I don't, I don't tell you. I just kind of walk away.
Speaking of former jobs, Denise, Facebook reminded me that 4 years ago you were on an episode of Ghost Adventures.
Oh, I was 4 years ago. Actually, it was probably almost
a
10
rerun,
years
but
About
yeah.
8 at least.
It's
Yeah.
10. It was in 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
it's
I think it's the
14.
Sally House or something.
Yep.
Yeah, the Sally House.
Sally House.
Yeah, back in
Oh, Sally.
in September 2014,
Yep.
and it aired in
10
January
years ago.
2015.
About
Yeah.
this time. Well,
Yeah.
close to
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Facebook reminded me that I posted. I was promoting it being rebroadcast at that time.
Oh, well, the thing is at least all the nudes have stopped coming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get those anymore, thank God, because they can put it on anytime they want now with streaming.
Mhm.
So I just shake my head, and it is what it is. It was a time in my life, and I don't regret it. I'm glad it's over.
Yeah, we got Roku, and Roku's allowed us to go fishing in the time machine, the paranormal time machine. And I'm talking about going way back into the 60s, because there's paranormal programming in the 60s.
Yep.
Things you had forgotten. You had
Probably more than now. Because there's
Uh,
only one.
Yeah. Or
On
I don't
Main
even know if the guys from Ghost Adventures are still working. I can't keep up anymore.
I mean,
That's the only show out there.
it's easy. All they have
Well-
to do is do a Zoom meeting and they can investigate now.
Yeah.
You look back in the early 60s, you had a soap opera that was paranormal.
The Secret Storm.
No, Dark Shadows.
Oh, Dark Shadows. Oh yeah,
You
everybody.
had
loved
Barnabas
Dark Shadows.
Collins that was a vampire.
Right. Yeah.
There's
Yeah, I
soap
know.
opera.
It was
Yeah.
on every day.
3
In the
o'clock in the
80s
afternoon, my mom
Yeah.
would watch it. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. There's a vampire.
And it re-aired in the 80s on TNT or
Uh-huh.
TBS
Wow.
at night.
Never heard of it.
Dark
You never
Shadows.
heard of Barnabas Collins?
I've never heard of his name, but I knew of Dark Shadows.
Yeah, Barnabas
Never heard
Collins.
of
My
Dark
God,
Shadows.
I
Yeah, they
remember that
recently,
back 60
They
years
recently
ago.
did a movie remake with Johnny Depp.
Oh, interesting fact. Johnny Depp is a relative of the Pridemore family.
Really?
Yeah, I had no clue.
Hmm.
Yeah, Johnny Depp's never been accused of being completely normal.
Well, that's his family.
Welcome to the family.
This lady who asked us to speak. Okay, this is really
Yeah,
funny.
I don't know.
She asked us to speak over in Foley, Alabama at a paranormal meetup. Okay.
Oh, is that who?
Yeah.
Is that who said it?
Yeah. She
Oh,
said
she's fine.
that her family are Pridemores too. And she came back with, asked me some questions. And I said, well, it's my husband's family and this and that. And she goes, yeah, I was doing a family tree. And she goes, Johnny Depp is related to the Pridemore family. She goes, I have to assume that almost all the Pridemores are related somewhere because there's
Yeah,
not
we're
that many.
horrible actors too.
And then after that, there's a lady here. Her name is Evelyn. Her maiden name is Pridemore. We're not used to having too many Pridemores around, except for family. So, and she's only like 26 or something, this Evelyn. But it was just kind of funny that we're finding people with our actual name here, where in Kansas City there was only one other family and they died off. So, and me and her had the same first name, which is very strange because my first name's not common.
Well, I was watching a live YouTube earlier today, and one of the guys' name in the chat room popped up was Michael Pridemore. I was like, well, that's different. You know what I mean?
What?
It's not a common name
Which chat room?
in a YouTube chat room.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, it doesn't surprise me. It's a big name in Virginia. We went over to Virginia one day with the kids and stuff. Yeah, I know, Karen. We just found out about it a couple weeks ago, but
You have to put on my spectacles.
we were going over to Virginia.
It's so important. I forgot to tell you, Mom.
It's just random
It
shit
was
that
breaking
comes from.
news, and I forgot to tell my mom.
Yeah, breaking news. Whoopty.
So let's be honest. I only tell him some of the stuff in passing because it's not important. I don't think that Johnny Depp is important. I just think it's funny. So, but yeah, I took the kids. We were going over to somewhere to Gretna, Virginia. We were going over there, and we stopped at this place to go to the bathroom.
Great grandparents had the same last name.
Oh yeah. So did Ron's great grandmother. They both
Yeah.
had the same Jackson and
Jackson.
But we pull into this subway to go to the bathroom, and we're waiting outside because there's a line, and we're looking on this board, and it says that somebody's got a red Mustang for sale. Talk to blank Pridemore, manager Subway. Funny thing is our daughter Lauren was a manager at Subway too. And so we had to walk up and introduce ourselves because of the fact that it was another Pridemore. You just don't hear it that often. So kind of have to. But yeah, they're around Virginia, West Virginia, and Georgia.
Yep. And then went to Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're not very prominent in Maryland, I've noticed.
No.
But the Myerses are huge.
Mhm.
but they're not related to me. So keep
Well,
that in
I
mind.
found out when we went to live in Delmarva that every other person was named Bennett. No matter what color or race you were a Bennett. And well, I'm just glad to get out of there before they made more Bennetts. You ever see the movie Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Yeah, a lot like that.
Well, who knows what's going on in the
But
world?
not FJ Bennett. FJB. Got to have those initials.
There'd
Never
be
thought-
others, but they're not having as interesting of a life as I am.
That's true.
No, they aren't.
And
So we got
I'm sorry, go ahead.
about 10 minutes left because Carl has another show and has to eat dinner.
Yep.
So
Oh, you still doing that? You still eating? Dang.
Once in a while,
What's okay?
once in a
look how
while,
skinny he is. He
keep
doesn't.
eating me.
He eats almost his weight in food.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, by the way, when you're talking about breaking news, and I'm only interesting because I tell you what you don't know already. But I found in a newspaper outside of our country that a whistleblower came out today who worked on the presidential debate with ABC. That
Yeah.
The whole thing was rigged in Harris's favor.
No kid.
Oh,
Filed an affidavit, David, and everything.
Oh, wow.
did you hear about her
Man.
wireless earrings?
The what? The what?
Her earrings had wireless receivers in them.
Oh, I don't doubt that for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, they showed a close up of her earrings, and they said, "Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a company that makes receivers just like those." And they asked the company, and they said, "Yeah, they look exactly like ours."
$645.
So,
Mhm.
so they're all. She's a fraud. I mean, their whole administration's a fraud.
The thing is they're going to downgrade this and say, "Oh, it's just they're Republicans and they're wanting to
Right.
downgrade this."
Yeah,
It's like, no.
Yep.
And I wish
Yeah.
he'd stop saying I speak for all women because you know what? I'm pretty sure. How do they know what a woman is? That's the first thing.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
second of all, I am a woman and she's not speaking for me.
Well, she got the Taylor Swift vote, so
Oh, and the Jason Kelsey,
and the Kelsey vote, yeah.
But-
So it's a
but
lot.
not getting the Mahomes. The Mahomeses
No.
are. He says he's not supporting anybody, and if you noticed,
His wife.
his wife didn't sit in the box this past weekend.
Stupidest
With,
thing an entertainer can do is get to speak
Exactly.
get political.
Especially somebody that know their ass from a hole in the ground.
about
Yeah.
that's why everybody now is being so nostalgic about old time performers and why Elvis is getting popular again, because over and over again in his career they kept asking him and he just didn't want to get involved with it.
Okay, now you brought up Elvis. I got to tell you guys something. This is
Uh-oh.
hilarious.
Here we go.
Okay. You know, I've always said that Clover is an old soul and that I think that that she may have some of my mom in her. Okay. Leah has a record player at the house that they live in there in South Carolina. And there's a whole bunch of these old records. And every morning Clover has to put on Elvis Christmas, Johnny Cash, or George Jones. Okay.
Now, how many 3-year-olds can work a record player for one?
So she's putting on the type of music that my mom would listen to. What are the odds of that? Okay. But her favorite one is actually Elvis Christmas. But
Yeah.
she'll play them all.
It's probably the best.
And
Let
it's
me-
probably the best one.
One of the benefits about doing so many live events, you got these expectations in your head about what the younger generation is like. And then they come to your table and they talk to you and you realize they can't stand a lot of the crap you can't stand either. They
Yeah.
can't stand a whole bunch of noise for the sake
That's
of
like
it.
when we first met.
Right.
We first met our niece's husband. He's now her husband. He wasn't then. Max. We like all kinds of things that were exactly the same.
Mhm.
And he's half our age, and so it was kind of nice to talk to a younger person about music that they weren't even alive for when it started.
Mhm. Exactly.
So they're smart kids. That's what it is. They're just smart.
I don't really think, generationally speaking, I don't think people are different. Really,
No.
it's just what externally is affecting them.
Right.
Internally, they're being affected by the same spirits that affected everybody else throughout all the generations, but externally, they're affected differently than we were.
Yeah. I just hope
I can honestly say if I had a cell phone when I was in high school, I'd think about it about as much as I do now. I only know where it is most of the time.
if I didn't have to use mine for work,
Most of
all
the
it
time,
did-
I don't even take it with me when we go anywhere.
well, is like I was teasing him over the weekend. Remember, I said I went to this event and I only took 2 pictures. I wasn't on my phone most of that day
She wasn't.
because, well, I didn't have
We're
internet
too
first
busy
of all,
talking.
or I was too busy visiting with
Yeah.
other people. And yeah, I was looking at my watch, but only because I was looking to see what my heart rate was, stuff like that. But people don't know how to have conversations
We
anymore.
really don't.
They don't know how to talk
Exactly.
to another person with their undivided attention.
And they've got a whole generation out there don't know how to talk to each other without electronics being involved somehow.
Oh,
and
I'm
so
gonna
you're
borrow
teaching them how to talk.
there you go, Denise. Have your phone back.
Well, my realtor's mad at me because I got this habit of taking my iPhone, putting it in my pants pocket, and hanging my pants on a hook on the wall. So when I go out in the yard to do any work and I don't have those pants on, she tries to call me and can't get me. And, I come in the house and realize she's called and I say, yeah, hi, my pants told me you called.
Hey, you just tell her you didn't have pants on. So
We didn't want to do a live video call at that moment, so
hey, Laura. So, well, Frank, where can everybody find you?
Next weekend, I will be in Johnstown, Pennsylvania for the WPA Cryptid and Supernatural Expo. It's a 2-day event in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's a lot of words.
It is. It's a lot of words, but the event organizer seems to have his act together, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. He actually interviewed me before he permitted me to get a table. Now that tells you something right there, because I was expecting them to go, "Oh, you're Christian? No, we can't have any of that stuff." But he wanted to make sure I wasn't going to be offended by the fact that there are going to be people there with Ouija boards and crystals and all that. And I said, "Are you kidding? That's about all I do shows with anymore, is people who do that stuff." That's
Are you kidding? I love that.
he was
stuff.
afraid I was going to be offended. So that's going to be a good one.
If you were offended, you wouldn't have signed up to go.
Yeah, it's I've been meaning to do Johnstown for a while. And cryptid expos are another dying breed. There's not a whole lot of them. They're tough to come by anymore. And at the end of October, I'll be in Seattle for the HorrorCon in Palo Alto.
And where can everybody find your books?
Oh, heck, Amazon.
Okay.
And if anybody wants to know anything about me, they can do one of two things. Either just throw up the window and stick your head out there. I'll probably be walking past your house eventually. Or just type my full name into Google, and about anything you want to know about me comes up.
Do you still have the website?
Oh,
Bible
yeah.
by Bennett?
Yeah, it takes you right to my websites.
So there you go. Bible by Bennett is your one-stop shop for everything FJB.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. I'd like to say I'm coming to a town near you, but that's getting expensive.
It is. So thank you so much for being on. And, guys, you can find me every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central on the Paranormal Pride. Right here, wherever you've been watching us from, is where you'll be able to find me. And on Monday, my guest is Joe De Hoyos. He's going to be on. He's going to be talking about whatever it is he's talking about. Seems like a really nice guy. I think it's going to be interesting. And then join us here every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Central with me, Ron Carl, and Fresh Meat of the Night, whoever that is. And we will all have a good time and laugh. And hopefully you guys can join us. And where can they join us at, Carl?
you can always find us on the Billerites Network on Facebook. You can find us at Things Network on Facebook. Usually you can find us on the Temple of Easy Rising Entertainment Facebook page, but tonight there was an issue with it, so I got to check that out. And you can also find us on Born TV on Rumble. So,
And the Paranormal Pride, Facebook and YouTube as well.
right. And
'Cause
more
YouTube doesn't shut us
more
down as
channels
much.
coming out later, probably by the first of the month. More channels coming out. So
So I hope everybody has a great week, and make sure you check out the other shows on the network as well. Tomorrow night, there's going to be Kat Hobson with Paranormal Experience, and just keep on checking out the shows. We're adding new shows all the time, and God knows,
Danny Thursday.
Yeah, is Danny still on Thursday?
yeah, Danny Garcia, the Walking Man. Frank, I need to get you in touch with Danny Garcia.
He's a very Christian
He's
guy.
pro.
And I think,
Isn't
He's
he?
pros.
no, he just blinked. He's
Or-
faking it.
Oh,
So
he's just
we'll
faking
see
it.
you guys all next week. Good night.
Right.
Have a great
Have a
night.
good evening. Night.
See.
He looked like he was pro.